We want to thank all our panelists, our delegates, for making it to ReEnergy Africa Summit 2022. It's going to be an exciting and wonderful 2 days packed conference. And we're sure that this discourse is going to contribute to energy transition in Africa. So we're going to be commencing shortly. We have our panelists, we have our speakers who are on ground already. So once again, we apologize that we are commencing a little bit late due to technical issues, which is currently being resolved. So anywhere you are, you can just take a cup of tea to just relax as we commence officially. So I hope by now we have all issues settled already. So without further ado, I will be going into the first section of the day, which is going to be our opening remark. Once again, my name is Ajala. I am a data and development journalist covering Nigeria's climate change and energy transition. So it's nice to meet all our speakers, panelists, and our wonderful delegates. So for our opening remark, we have Mr. Olumide Fatoki. He is the head of unit on and off-grid sustainable energy access for GIZ Nigeria. So I don't know if Mr. Fatoki is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I will just try to do this very quickly. Excellencies, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's my greatest honor and delight to welcome you all to this year's event that is tagged Powering Business in Africa, Renewables Beyond Subsidies and Emerging Markets. This is the 3rd edition of the ReEnergy Africa Annual Summit, and we'd like to express our deepest gratitude to everyone for your contribution to this summit that was originally scheduled to hold as an in-person event in Kigali, Rwanda. But unfortunately, following submissions of the host country and several exigencies, it was decided the in-person summit should then be hosted and postponed to 2023. So as you may be aware, ReEnergy Africa is thankful to everyone for this opportunity to have credible partners in the energy sector from Rwanda, from Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and various countries in the world with us, especially today in the conference. And as you also know, for years of its existence, the ReEnergy Africa has done a lot in its mission to raise awareness, implement solutions for inclusion, and create a community for renewable energy accelerators in boosting regional cooperation, as well as strengthening the Sustainable Development Goal to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. We are equally committed to the agenda on just energy transition, energy securities, energy access, climate resilience, and adaptation. Together, we believe keeping our world safe is a very important goal. Let me use this opportunity to express our condolences to families who have lost their loved ones recently during the ongoing flood disaster ravaging countries, especially in Nigeria at the moment. We heard that over 600 lives are lost, and the government is still trying to make effort to curb the effect. This is to tell us the effect of climate change and the fact that it is real. And we all need to concertedly push more towards a better world. Also, the Russian-Ukraine war has equally threatened economies and livelihood with phenomenal increase in prices of goods and commodities and services, which in turn has slowed down energy access rates, especially for sub-Saharan Africa. However, with our collective efforts, we will surely overturn the situations. This virtual summit is a 2-day event with unchanged agendas, goals, and activities following the itinerary to the letter. It will be an opportunity to share good practices and discuss key challenges, but also learn about world-leading organizations on the important aspect of energy. Also, this is an opportunity to project Genesis 1000 Energy Impact, a non-for-profit CSR initiative project in partnership with our digital center, where 100 youths from Ijebu will be trained on solar equipment installations and trades, and 30 households from Ijebu town in Ondo State, Nigeria, will be provided and empowered with a tier 2 to 3 requirement for standalone solar home systems. At the end of this event, we should see how ReEnergy, in collaboration with interested organizations, can further support communities in the region. I wish to recognize the valiant effort of the team who have helped us to reach this milestone and made this event a successful one. Our success is your success as well. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, everyone on this call and the other ones that will still join us later, let me say a big congratulations to us on another milestone today, and let us all enjoy the agenda for today and beyond as we progress in this conference. I thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fatoki, for the wonderful opening remark. Without further ado, we'll be moving on to Fatumata, who is going to be delivering an opening remark also. She is the chairman, CreditRegistry, chairman, Investment Securities Limited, and chairman, ReEnergy Africa Board of Trustees. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Welcome again, everybody, to our third summit. We're very excited to have you on behalf of the Board of Trustees and all of our hardworking partners and members and volunteers, especially of ReEnergy Africa. I welcome you, and I stand on existing protocol. Today is exciting for us because 3 years ago, we started this joining of making sure that we tell the story from the African context in what we need and how we believe we can electrify this continent. We are at a position to make sure we actually achieve our 2030 goal, which is to electrify the continent. We are determined not to be left behind in this quest for the fourth industrial revolution of digital economy. ReEnergy Africa is basically a bunch of volunteers across the world, very passionate about affordable, clean, and accessible energy on the continent. Today, Africa is less than 50% electrified. We are electrified with very clean energy through hydro and others, and we intend to continuously use that trajectory for the continent: clean energy, affordable energy, accessible energy for all Africans. We are delighted to have you join us on this joining to make this a reality for every African on the continent. We are excited because we have seen progress for the last 3 years, and this summit has brought us to an actionable point, which will now enable many youth across the continent to be able to deliver sustainable and affordable energy based on your partnership with ReEnergy Africa. Again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time, your talents, your resources, your network, and your passion for Africa to be electrified, so we will not be left behind on this fourth industrial revolution called the digital economy. Have a great conference the next 2 days. We have amazing speakers lined up across the world. We have lots of resources and expertise on our panels, and we'll be speaking as guest speakers as well. We have an amazing team behind the scene working to be able to answer all of your questions. We thank all of our sponsors. We thank all of our moderators and our speakers and all of our executive and especially our diplomats that are across the world joining us. And our speaker today, ambassador that's coming all the way from the US, probably very early, joining us this morning. So have a great summit. We will be actionable. We'll be following up with you. Please be available when we call on you to make this dream a success. Because for us here at ReEnergy Africa, we are making Africa first. Thank you. Have a great day. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Coca, the chairman of ReEnergy Africa Board of Trustees. Without further ado, we'll be going on to our next agenda on the item, which is going to be our keynote speech for today. And it's going to be delivered by no other person than Carlos Santos, the president, founder, member, and CEO of Ethos Asset Management Incorporation, USA. Mr. Carlos, over to you. So I think this is going to be a recorded section, because the speaker is supposed to join us, but due to the fact that he has to travel within the US, so he won't be able to appear here. But he already sent his recorded section to us, which the technical team will be putting up now. Technical team, over to you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I mean, first of all, I would like to apologize for the fact that I cannot be present today on our ReEnergy event and venue in Rwanda. In fact, due to travel constraints, I'm now in the hour that this video is being passed. I'm traveling from New York to London, and I'm not able to be here, on live. But I decided to have the chance to make this open speech to all of you, because it's of course an honor to me to be one of the sponsors and partners of ReEnergy in this venue. Like you can imagine, this summit has one topic that on the last weeks and months and in fact years, it's every single day more relevant, right? And it's more relevant when you hear about powering business in Africa, renewables, behind subsides and emerging markets. And like we know, I think that if it's clear that ESG is much more than a potential, now is a reality in the world, this cannot be different in Africa. Being obviously Ethos an investment company that we fulfill the most in terms of what it is, idea of investment in compliance with regulation of ESG. Obviously that to us, it's not because in a certain place that regulation is not in place that we don't follow it. And this is why to us and to me personally make total sense to be here talking a little about that reality. A reality that everybody understands. Obviously that ESG, it's relevant to be talked when you discuss about the world, the environment, the respect for a sustainable context and macroeconomic world that can survive on the long term, because obviously this is what is sustainability, right? Is a survival on the long term. This is exactly what ESG is about, right? Is the survival of our world, of our ecosystem, of the environment, where each individual and each corporation is in fact insert. This is why, again, talking about renewable beyond subsides and emerging markets, talking about powering business in Africa, talking about ESG is critical in a moment that the worldwide economy is obviously going on such direction. It's we that say, you know, that I don't want to talk about environment, and obviously that great part of the focus today will be on be sustainable in terms of environment, but I want always on our conversation that the S of social, it is not forgotten, even more in emerging markets, because we only can discuss social, right? We only can discuss, environment, if in fact we are able to discuss what it is social point of view, because only education of the youth, the education of the management force is possible to make an environment in terms of ESG respected. You know, this is why, you know, every single day ESG is relevant to be talked, because if you want that our companies exist on the long term, if you want that the youth take the economy and survive on the long term, if you want that corporations are sustainable, we need an environment that is sustainable too. And of course, that is why each of us as business people, as business agents, as economic agents, we have such type of obligation. We that say, you know, this doesn't mean that we are talking about free money and help that each company needs to support the economy or the environment. I know that it's being pretty much discussed by, you know, the masters of ESG about, you know, no matter in fact how these impact the companies, the company needs to do because it's what the world needs. I agree, obviously, that if it is a worldwide need, if it's a health reason, if it's environmental reason, it's mandatory at any cost. But what is very interesting, and I would like that every single individual try to understand, is that is it possible? And I tell that it is for our own experience as a private investment company. But what I want environment need us, because everybody understand that. But if we have be profitable, what is the impact to a corporation that respect ESG policies and regulation? Is that positive? Is the impact positive? And I can talk by ourselves. We know, and we have research done internally that show that corporations that they have ESG boards, they have ESG policies, that they do investments respecting ESG, that means in some point there are ESG positive supporters. Corporations with that reality, they have on average higher market values. And this is why I truly believe that it's possible a fully and deep support of this type of investment for the economy. Because one of the biggest difficult issues that it's being faced is that the supporters of ESG, right, are going to corporations and trying to tell them, you know what, you need to do this because the world needs you, no matter why, but you need to. And when you talk with a business person in that why, it doesn't result. And doesn't result because their mindset is different. But if you speak to an entrepreneur, businessman, that if you do this, you are helping the environment, but you are helping your corporation, I mean, I guarantee that each individual and each company will change. And this is exactly what it's proven. Corporations that have ESG policies, they are able to have a higher return, higher market value. And this is what made them do that investments. And this is what happened in our corporation. We do ESG. Point number one, not on the focus only on the E, but on the S2 and on the G. Third, we do ESG because we know that we are helping the environment, the society, the governance. And more than that, we are making the economy go at the same time that our corporation increase on the long term our market value. And this is the paradigm that the universities of Chicago that 20 years ago were focused fully and slowly on the point about the profit. No matter in what way, every single corporation was focused on the profit. No matter what, this was the was passed. And nowadays, if long-term investment it's done with respect to ESG. What I'm telling is that when we are doing investment on ESG, that means not only focus on profit, but focus on the triad of profit, ethics, and values. That triad, that means economic, that means social, means environment, that means governance. All of that triad, it's respected nowadays. And that triad of respect make you have a market value higher and most valuable on the long term. This means that we pass from a short-term paradigm of focus on profit for a financial perspective, for economic perspective of long-term, where the ESG means, in fact, a long-term sustainable perspective that, in fact, allow you to grow to a level that you can survive doing less on the short term, but surviving on the long term. What makes, on the pure logic of discounted cash flow, your market value be bigger, be higher. And this is exactly what I want that the discussion enter. Not only a discussion today on the pure academic way of how important is the ESG for the environment, for the society. Absolutely, we want to talk about it, but we cannot convince business corporations to change for that paradigm if they are not better to themselves. And what I'm telling is, it is possible. You need only to focus of how to show how it is possible. Yes, probably it's less today, but on the long term is more. And we have plenty of examples that show that. BP in Gulf of Mexico. Everybody can remember when BP in their reports add, do not extract one single barrel of oil more in Gulf of Mexico. Why? Because this will have environmental impact. And the CEO told, let's continue. Why? Because on their reports, they clearly show that yes, it is a risky situation, but that risky situation in their mindset is justified because of the cash flows that they will make on that short term. What they didn't consider on that cash flow was that they will completely be terminated by some countries. And this is what should be considered on that model. Because if they decide based on the sustainability of long term, the CEO would decide differently from what he decided. And this is what companies every single day needs to insert on their report systems that allow them to be able to take their best decisions. And that best decisions will guarantee that you are sustainable on the long term. And this is why I tell that every single day we need to be more aware of this reality. You know, and all of this discussion is important in the environment that we passed COVID. It's a massive social problem, right? With a massive effect on the environment too. We passed, now we are living it on the last months, a war. In 2022, the world is facing a war, an army conflict. It's a social issue. It's part of ESG. And this affects the economy. More than ever, we need to be aware of these actions that affect our economies, that affect our companies. It's with this said, you know, that I would like to tell, why is Ethos supporting ReEnergy Africa in this venue? Why are we a supporter of this subject of ESG, renewable energies? We are a supporter because the world needs it, first of all. We are a supporter because this is beneficial for the society and communities and guarantee the long-term existence of them. And at the same time, because this is beneficial to our corporation, this means money, this means profits to our company, and this means that we can have an ecosystem that both things exist, and both things make us be bigger and make us be more profitable, and more than profitable on the short term, profitable on the long term, on the sustainability of not macroeconomic events, but macroeconomic long-term view. And this is why we are a supporter. Ethos has inside of his business plan since 2012, on the day of our creation in June, that we use a full ESG policy. We do philanthropic financing, we have sustainability financing, and we do not lose money with that. Our market value, our cash flow on the long term is being affected positively, is facing benefits because we operate in such a way. And this is why today we are here. This is why today we are a sponsor of ReEnergy Africa on this summit of powering business in Africa, on focus on renewables behind subsidies and emerging markets. And if some people talk that it's not possible to do this in Africa because it's emerging market in economy, it is not true. It is the art of the world where in fact this needs to start now. And this is why we are here today. Why is this, important? It is important because in fact, we are talking about the survival, not only of Ethos, but of each of you, each of your institutions. It's very important to refer again that we are a culture. Ethos is a culture not only of E, but us. I repeat what I told. It's the us, it's the social, it's the education, it's the training of the mindset, of changing mindset, of passing knowledge, of passing respect. It's the mother economies with more education that are able to implement a sustainable, positive environmental policy. E, this is the unique way to make the E grow, and this is the way that Africa needs to do. We need education to increase the social power, to give the capacity, the mind thinking to each businessman in Africa, be able to think on E. Because if you are thinking on survival the next day, in that case, the E cannot exist. I could come here and give multiple examples. I have my team presented today in multiple panels that you will have the pleasure to hear. Examples. We have an example. I was in Oxford a couple of months ago in a venue where we were sponsors about ESG. And I was massively attacked by the media when they asked me, why is it doing a port in Mozambique of $400 million, where a significant part of the revenue will come from the exportation of coal? Is it supporting black energy? And I told, no, we are not. We are a massive supporter of green energy, and we will make it. What I can tell is, we are doing infrastructure. We are developing a port in one of the areas of the globe with a massive problem, with a problem of society, child ladies that are being murdered in the street. Our port is creating housing, is creating schools, hospitals, and a source of income to that economies, to that society, to that community. That will create knowledge. That knowledge will create mind thinking and capacity to decide. To the business of tomorrow, do not be black, but be a green energy. To be not a black energy, but a green energy. And this is why I tell, we are not financing coal. No, we are financing infrastructure that will be critical on the development of not only Mozambique, but all the surrounding area. Will be billions and billions that will enter and flow from Africa because of infrastructure. This is why I tell, first, before we discuss we need to discuss the society. And this is why I want that today we are, in fact, open to discuss and able to discuss an amazing topics that will be discussed today. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear about the success cases. We will have here a panel that will go through success cases. I hope that I can hear about other investments that are in success. We have them. We have hospitals developed. We have green projects, panel solar projects. We have agro business being sustainable in Africa. Productions of cows, productions of fruits that are being done in models so good as any other model developed in Netherlands nowadays on agribusiness or in Brazil. These are ESG real projects where Ethos is part. I want to see these success cases that they will show to everybody that we have a path. I'm very excited to see about, and hear about the Africa has a massive play role to put on the table on this energetic crisis that the world is facing. It's true that nobody is happy with the Russian-Ukraine situation, but this is an opportunity to Africa. Africa can assume a worldwide position on the supply of energy. Green energy, it's now the moment to Africa to show it. I'm excited to hear that discussion and that panel. And mobility, it's being obviously a worldwide topic. We see the economy is investing in EV. We invest in EV cars in Turkey, in US. Big companies, big corporations are now focusing and transforming the automobile sector. This is the construction of course, cars, buses. We are present there. We want that this is a focus in Africa. Obviously, we know that infrastructure continue to be a problem, but we and other investors are here to support it. I want to hear about e-mobility too. I want obviously, to have the capacity to discuss a subject that is not African subject, it's a world subject. That is gender inequality. Gender inequality is a ESG problem and is the S problem. And that it's critical to be discussed because everybody knows. I'm a man, but I assume it. I'm a professor in university. I know the numbers. The majority of the students of management and economics are girls. They have better grades than the boys. Why? You do not have on the economy a reflection of that status because education is not passing to the business. This needs to be a point of discussion because again, mentality, mind thinking will affect the E. And this is why this will be discussed today. And one of the last topics will be about the youth, the young generation. Each of the young people that are today here and around the world following us. This is a value to you too, because it's the education that you are having today, the knowledge that is being passed to you through summits like that, through university, through your bachelor, your master, your PhD, that will allow you to be a mind with capacity to think and decide what is the best way to invest, what is the best way to make the E going to another level. Again, I truly appreciate the presence of each of you. It is a massive honor to me to be the keynote speaker of this venue, to have the chance to share with you a little of my view about this topic, the culture that Ethos, company that I run as a CEO and founder, that is what we have since the first day, and make me proud to see that the world today understand this is a topic that needs to be discussed today and now. Again, appreciate each of you, the time that take to be here and share your knowledge, share your view on this topic that will allow us to for sure grow each of our corporations and each of our countries and naturally economies, and at least each of us as individuals. Thank you, and have a wonderful venue that I hope that contribute positively to each of you. Have a wonderful morning.
Thanks to Mr. Santos for sharing what Ethos is actually doing, particularly in Africa, to promote renewable energy.